Hey, welcome HCA to Hanging with the Headmaster. This is a new podcast that we're starting just to help you get a little bit of insight into what happens here at school. And today I'm here with Ada Jones. Ada's a senior at HCA. She's got about 2 weeks left before she graduates. And I wanted her just to reflect a little bit on her time here at HCA and what it's meant to her. And so, Ada, you've been here since kindergarten, most of your school life. Tell me just a little bit about your experience.
Honestly, I would say that my experience has been, in my opinion, invaluable. I think that I've gotten a lot of connections here that I wouldn't have somewhere else or even in a different area or a different school particularly, but I think I've gotten a lot of good connections. I've gotten a lot of educational opportunities that have been really nice. And I think that my favorite part has been relationship with teachers that I've built. I have a lot of teachers that as I grow I would consider mentors and easy references to call or ask questions to, and I know they're in my corner to support me.
That's awesome. What would you say specifically are ways that a classical Christian education has benefited you?
The biggest way that comes to mind for me is that last summer I was able to attend North Carolina Governor's School for English as my Area 1, and it was a 4-week college-like stay on a college campus where we got to study English in depth. And I noticed there, being around a multitude of students who did not come from a classical education background, the benefits of classical education. I found that we had studied more pieces of literature in depth. We had studied more styles of writing. We had been taught to think differently than other people had. We had been taught how to think about certain things, how to ponder solutions, and how to have discourse over those ideas. And I noticed, especially, we had a philosophy class that we had to take. I noticed especially within the philosophy class, people would talk about their schools, and it was baffling to me the lack of depth that a lot of them had experienced at their schools and the focus on scoring and AP or IB programs. And I just think that there was a richer education as I came here, a more holistic approach to understanding.
Well, that's awesome. So would you see that as like a preview to college a little bit, Governor's School, and what that environment is going to be and how you're prepared for that?
Definitely. I think that what we did there were some lecture-based classes where we would listen and take notes, but a lot of the time it ended in discussion. And I think that was one thing that HCA does really well, is having discussion-based classes prepares you for when you get to college or when you have these educational experiences, that people want to hear your opinion and they want to have educated conversations. And I think that HCA does a great job of preparing you for being able to do that on people that may even have a higher level of understanding about the subject matter.
So Ada, bragging on you a little bit, you just received a full ride to Florida State, presidential scholarship,
Yes.
I think. And so my understanding is there were over 8,000 applicants, and you were chosen for this through a process of a written application and then a face-to-face interview. Tell me a little bit about how taking the rhetoric environment in high school, and specifically rhetoric classes, prepared you for the writing and the face-to-face interview part of that application process.
Interestingly enough, the written part of the application, so the program that I'm a part of, the application starts with your application to the Honors College. And interestingly enough, the prompt for the Honors College essay at Florida State is designing they call it an honors special course, and you come up with a class that you would design, if you could, for people to take on an in-depth subject matter. And because we write the thesis, and I already knew what my topic was going to be, I was able to go ahead and start research on my thesis, but also talk about something that I had already been preparing for the past year in rhetoric, and use that in my Honors College essay. And I got to talk about welfare in that as well. But I think that mainly I've been taught all throughout HCA how to make sure that your writing is concise, clear, but also keep the power in it. It's almost like everything that we write has an aspect of poetry in it, where you want it to be as simple as possible, but you also want it to be as powerful as possible. And I think that when it comes to writing your Common App essay and all of your supplemental essays, when you have a word limit and you can only go up to 650 words maximum, it was way easier to cut stuff down and to rephrase things because of the way that I had been taught to write. And then in the face-to-face interviews, the amount of discussion that we do in class and the amount of presentations that we have to do, there was an invaluable amount of preparation that I felt like I had, where I even came in and was less nervous than a lot of the other applicants, and there was not any questions that really threw you off guard, because it's the same type of things that we discuss in rhetoric on how to speak about it, how to use logos, ethos, and pathos in your answers, and it felt like it prepared me very well in comparison with everybody else.
So how nervous were you in that process?
I really wasn't nervous at all. I knew that there was an individual interview and a group interview going in, and because rhetoric prepares us so well to speak on our own, I wasn't nervous for the individual interview. And then because of our classes and the amount of graded discussions that we do in group projects or presentations, I felt very prepared for the group interview as well.
That's awesome. I want to switch gears for a second. So one thing that's always impressed me about you is you've participated in a lot of sports over the years. So you've played basketball,
yes,
and you've played soccer, and tennis, and snow skiing,
yes,
right? Am I missing anything? Okay. So, but that's pretty much year round. You're playing something. But I think you would agree, you would consider yourself to be an elite athlete, right? So why would someone who maybe has average athletic ability commit to so many sports, and what benefits has the athletic program given you? How do you process that?
I think the social aspect is one that really stands out to me as someone who especially really desires a deep connection and a foundation with people, with my peers. Like, I want to know people by their name and be able to go up to them and talk to them in the hallway. And I think that sports does a really good job of just allowing you to build a connection with people, and it also teaches you really well how to recognize your own strengths and weaknesses and how that can affect a larger picture. For example, with soccer, like, going in, I know I'm not playing offense. I'm not going up there and I'm not going to score a goal, but what I can do is I'm good with the mental game of soccer, and I'm good with predicting where other people are going to go, so defense is far more up my alley. And so it teaches you to recognize things about yourself and work well in a group. But then also, truth be told, it's really great time management. I struggled when I didn't play sports with having almost too much time to get things done, that I felt more rushed when I actually started on them, because I tend to procrastinate. And so sports allowed me to get really good at time management, because it cut down the hours that I had in a day to practice and school and then homework after, and it makes you better at recognizing how to move forward with that.
Well, I've always appreciated watching you play, and you give it full effort all the time and take it seriously. And I also see you in a leadership role with the younger kids on the team, and so just thanks for taking the time to play. Even though, like I said, it may not be your specialty in life moving forward, it's made a big impact on me just watching you play. We're a small classical Christian school, 520 K through 12 students. You've been in classes in the 25 to 35 kid range, all that. Are there any negatives that you can think of, or any regrets you may have about being in a small environment, or things that maybe you feel like you maybe have missed out on that you could have gotten in a larger school environment?
I think that everybody, no matter where you're at throughout the years, you're going to have things where people will tell you about experiences that they have. Like, for example, people may tell you about football games or these massive events that schools hold, and you sit there for about a day or two and you're like, gosh, that sounds really cool. Like, I wish I could have seen that. But then as I'm getting ready to graduate and I'm moving on, there's really nothing of value or importance that I think that I missed out on. I don't think that there's anything that we don't offer that has any massive value. Like, there's nothing that I'm going to think about when I go to college next year and people are going to be talking to me like, oh my goodness, I really wish that I would have had that experience in high school. Nothing that presses on your soul at all. It's maybe a day or so bother of something that happens at a bigger school, but I think that the value of the people that you get to meet and the specific skills that you learn being in a smaller environment is incomparable to the things that you miss out on.
Thank you. One last question. If if you could give advice to a parent out there, or maybe even a teenager, and they're considering the possibility of enrolling here, but they haven't quite made a decision, what advice might you give them?
I would say the first thing is, one, you're doing great already. The fact that you're considering a school that takes a classical approach and a biblical approach means that you prioritize your education and your understanding, but also your spiritual life. And I think that that's invaluable in and of itself. I would say that this school, just like all other things in life, is one of those places where you're going to get out of it exactly what you put into it. So the more that you're pouring into the experiences that are offered, the more that you're taking opportunities that you have, the more that you're building relationships with your teachers and you're going down that two-way street, the richer your experience is going to be. And I think that when you actually take the time and the energy to just work hard, or also to be a part of a community that's so rich with people, and to just really place yourself in HCA, I think that you'll see benefits that exceed anything you'd get anywhere else. And I think that my biggest piece of advice is just come here with a positive attitude and focus on the benefits of a place like this, and a lot of the small struggles really seem to fade away when you keep that perspective.
That's well said, and I think that translates to life in general, right? So whatever's out there in life, our attitude going in and what we bring to the table versus just always trying to receive from it makes all the difference, right? Just how you approach that. Thank you for spending time talking with me about this. I'm proud of you. You got a bright future ahead of you. You're going to go big places. Thanks so much.
Thank you.